got in studio with us our resident expert on all things Orthodox, Pastor Will Weedon. He is the director of worship for the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, among other things, as well as then you act as chaplain for the International Center.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, you're a busy little bee, right? You, aside from being a nutritional specialist, on a number of things. You got a couple of books from Concordia Publishing House, one that's out already from 2 years ago, last year sometime.
2 years ago.
Celebrating the Saints, which is a church calendar study. Sounds pretty cool. And then one coming out just in a few weeks here, you said, Thank, Praise, Serve, and Obey Him, Becoming a Pietist in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod.
Wait a minute.
At the very introduction has to tease out the difference between pietism and piety.
Yes.
So anyway,
the real subtitle, Recovering the Joy of Piety. So why don't you just go ahead and say something about that? Because pietism is a label that gets used in conservative Lutheranism sometimes to kind of end arguments in some ways. But there's also a real danger out there that could be labeled as pietism, which is a shift of the theological focus, the spiritual focus, from the external means of grace to the internal life.
That's it. That's it right there. I mean, the very characteristic of pietism is it's always looking inside and it's measuring and measuring up. And because you're looking inside, the next move, of course, is always to be looking inside other people and checking how they're doing. That is pietism, not piety. The very shape of Lutheran piety is that it focuses you outward and away from self toward God in faith, toward your neighbor in love. So very different approach than the constantly taking your internal thermometer. How am I doing spiritually?
Right.
You don't have to have that unpleasant thing in orifices of your body.
It's like another way of looking at it is that pietism as a concept, if and when it's wrong, because there's also the historical movement, which may or may not have led in this direction, depending on which pietist you're reading. But pietism as a erroneous idea is faith trying to look at itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of one of the weirdest things that happened in the church's hymnody with pietism is that we shifted from a lot of we songs to a lot of I songs.
Right. Yeah.
Classic instance, this is not from the Lutheran tradition, but I come to the garden alone.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
That's piety at its heart. Pietism at its heart. Piety, though, is instead of being focused on me and I, this is what God has given us as the children of God, the joy He gives us to live in. So a very different approach.
Yeah,
anyway.
and to think of piety then also not as faith looking at faith, but as the life of faith simply existing.
Yeah. It's faith doing what it does, which is looking at Jesus.
Right. And then neighbor, right? So it's always something that we are doing together. So is that what the book is really about?
Really about.
All right. Sounds cool. So